tracking and tagging animals and why it's very important to do so. So, a track is a window to the past of an animal. Look at the ground as if it were a manuscript of the animal's life. When you go outside as a kid, did you ever feel or see a print on the ground and you're like, wow, what animal did that come from? Did you go look and follow the tracks or anything like that? Well, I did. As a kid, I was outside all the time. It was a very vital point in my life, and it has made me want to become a wildlife biologist. So for me, I dig deeper into the wildlife biology, and I want to focus on the endangered animal species. So I wanted to do this because it just seems super cool. It's always been in my life, and being outdoors really means a lot to me. If people want our Earth to thrive, we need to take care of our wildlife. So by doing so, I will be talking about tracking and tagging and why it's important to take care of the animals you tag. Tracking is the first step. It's a whole small, you have to look at every small, tiny little detail in the tracking process. Rick Curtis from Princeton University has told us about 3 main parts of tracking. So large scale. Large scale is the landscape. You have to see how big and how wide the landscape would be, and if you're looking for like a deer per se, I'll be using deer as an example later on. You would want to look in either cornfields or in a wooded area. So now, after that, you want to look for medium scale tracks. So those are like obvious prints in the ground or like fir clumps, like a den, anything in that general area. So now there's this thing called ghost, and ghost scale is like the Dolling's leaf depression, so like the smallest, tiniest bit of a hint of an animal would be the ghost scale. So now I will be showing you 2 things. So say we are talking about a deer. So these would be like the stalking patterns, which is pretty much just them walking, and then the trot patterns, they're a little bit more spaced out, and the front and back hoof are almost together. The lope pattern are the tracks being right across from each other, and then gallop is they're a little bit spaced out, but you can tell that the back and front footsteps are together. Now for this one, you can see a difference between the male and female hoofs. So the females are a little bit wider for the front hoof, and then the back hoof, the females are tilted a little bit more to the right, and the males are tilted a little bit more to the left. This can help you figure out if it's a male or a female that you are tracking. So tracking was the first step. Now is the second step, which is the tagging part of this. So tagging, you can do many different tags, a whole bunch of tags. There's like chips, there's chips, heat, to where you can brand them, or freeze branding. You can also do a electrical tag in their ear. So to be able to chip them, like microchip them, you would need to put it in between their shoulders with a needle, and you just syringe it into their skin. It shouldn't hurt them at all. Nothing should cause a problem for the animal. This is the easiest way to make sure you can track your animal and it won't get lost. So, lastly, after tracking and tagging your animal, you will need to research your animal. So researching will be like finding out their migration patterns, or like figuring out what food they have in the land that they're at that moment in time. This is very important because you can figure out why the endangered species is going, or the population is decreasing, anything like that. So Morgan Stanley from National Geographic, she talks a whole bunch about endangered lists and what can cause the animals to become on the endangered list. So you can have loss of habitat or loss of genetic variation. So both of these things can cause your animals to lose their population very fast. So I talked about tracking, tagging, and why it's important to research and follow your animal during this whole entire process, so you can reroute the population and try and grow the population back up from what it was before. So I talked about, if people want your earth to thrive, you need to take care of your wildlife. I said this because it's very important. You need this to grow as a community, and your earths need it from you too. So take care of your wildlife and maintain what you can, and I hope you learned something from my presentation.